It's been almost 2 years since we fitted our first Sigenergy battery storage system, and there's a lot of updates and changes that have happened since then. So in this video, we're going to do a deep dive on this amazing SigenStor system, talk about some of the updates and some of the amazing product features that they've got, show you in depth how we install it, and some of the little tips and tricks that we're going to share with you. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into it.
Since we installed our first Sigenergy system 2 years ago on this job in Croydon, a lot has changed. Sigenergy have improved the product massively from both a hardware and a software perspective. The first thing that's happened quite recently is a change in the battery capacity. Originally, when the system was first installed, it was available in 5 kWh and 8 kWh modules. But recently, Sigenergy have upgraded the capacity of the battery modules to 6 kW and just over 9 kWh usable. This is quite incredible considering that the batteries are still the same form factor. They're just a little bit heavier, but the capacity is much increased, and the price, although it's increased slightly, has not gone up excessively. So it means that you can get even more capacity for what is still a very reasonable price. They've also increased their inverter capacities recently. The single-phase system now goes all the way up to 12 kilowatt inverters, and the three-phase now goes up to 30 kilowatt, which means that with these larger battery modules, you've got the possibility to charge and discharge at a really high rate, both in single phase and in three-phase situations.
Now, there's something really exciting happening at the moment. Until the end of the year, Sigenergy are running a Installer of the Year competition, and we're going to enter this as our installation for the competition. If you'd like to apply, if you're an installer, there are various ways of doing it. It's either through the socials via LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram. You need to use certain hashtags and tag Sigenergy in there. There are 4 different categories for the contest. There is residential, V2X, commercial and industrial, and microgrid. So there's potential for quite a few different winners. But the question is, what do you win? Well, you win a trip to Shanghai, which is awesome. You get to visit the Sigenergy factory and do a cultural tour over there in Shanghai, China. So if you'd like to apply, we'll leave a link below where you can find out more. So we've got the stacks of batteries mounted, and this is the DC EV charger module. Now, it comes with a 5-meter tethered cable, but we need a 10-meter tethered cable in this case. So Sigenergy have supplied us with a 10-meter cable. We just need to swap it over. And it's the first time I've done this, so I thought I'd show it on camera just to talk you guys through it. So there's basically a cover over here, which you take off, and then there's a cable clamp here, which you need to remove. That means that this cable is now loose. And then what I can do is just unclick this little data sort of communications cable bit. So that comes off. And then there's a couple of little bolts to undo here for the positive and negative. Now this is dead, I've checked it obviously, but you might wonder, is it live because it's connected to the batteries, but it is actually dead. That will come off like that. Same with the negative. And then this one is a normal Phillips posi screw. I kind of carefully thread this ferrite loop off, and I think that probably is going to need to be cut off. So that's the old 5-meter cable out. It should just be a like-for-like swap. So we just need to thread that through, connect it back up, and then clamp it on. So that was really easy actually, nice straight swap. Now we've got the longer cable. What we've got to do is run it down to the bottom of the stack, and then there's like a little cable exit gland thing at the bottom that goes on, so that the cable, you've got a little bit of cable management down inside these panels. The cable comes out the bottom, and then we've got a holster that will go on the wall here to hold the cable. So then down here at the bottom you've got this plate here that screws on to the bottom battery and the base, like so.
There's also been a big improvement with the Sigenergy gateways. Originally, when the product was first launched, they had the Home Max gateway, both the single-phase and the three-phase versions. But recently, they've upgraded these gateways, and one of the big improvements is in the fact that the new gateways are now completely silent. The original gateways did make a little bit of a humming noise sometimes. It wasn't very loud, but it could be irritating for some people. But the new gateways are completely silent, which means that you don't need to worry about any annoying buzzing.
So in this situation where we've got 2 stacks on a single phase gateway, the standard gateway, this is the Home Pro gateway, it comes with one breaker for up to a 12 kilowatt inverter, but you can add a second breaker in, which is what we're going to do. So we've got a 40 amp breaker to go in there, and they give you these little tabs, these little copper tabs to connect onto the bus bar to allow you to put in that extra breaker. So they're designed to be able to actually take up to two 12 kilowatt inverters, these gateways. So this is the bi-directional DC EV charger. Now there's a list on Sigenergy's website of all the vehicles that this has been tested with so far in terms of the bi-directional capabilities. Obviously it's not compatible with every single vehicle, but software upgrades and things like that, slowly there's more and more test cases where this works, and the customer wanted to future-proof themselves so that when they get an EV, they've got this and they can do vehicle to home, V2X, which is a really, really handy thing to expand your battery capacity using the car's battery. So we're going to make a deep dive video showing in full how this works. So if you'd like to see that, comment below and we'll definitely make that video for you guys at some point. Now with the communications side of things with the Sigenergy, what's really nice is you can hardwired Ethernet it, you can also do a Wi-Fi connection, and you can get a 4G dongle that allows it to have wireless cellular internet connectivity as well. So we usually do all three just to have ultimate belt and braces. So we've got a hardwired Ethernet connection that goes to the gateway first, and then from the gateway we go to the first stack and then the second stack. That connects everything together with the communication side of things, and also make sure all of the devices are hardwired to the internet. Then we'll also do a Wi-Fi connection to the customer's Wi-Fi, and we've got the 4G dongle as the ultimate fail-safe. If the Wi-Fi and the Ethernet go down, then they'll still have data connectivity by means of that 4G dongle. And none of these are needed for the system to work, by the way. It's just so that the customer can see all the data in the app.
Another thing we like about Sigenergy is that they're always trying to make things better for installers. One of the things that they've done recently is improve the quality of the AC plug connections. In the past, it was a little bit faffy to try and connect the flexible cable into the AC connector, but they've improved the design and made it much easier to connect now, which is a really nice feature. Another thing that's new, or new since we did the last install, is that the ground mount plate now has feet. So before you just had to fix it down to the ground, but now you've got the option to screw in these metallic feet with rubber bases. You can adjust it to get it nice and level, and you don't actually have to drill it and anchor it down to the ground.
One of the big improvements Sigenergy's made is the integration with the Shelly devices now. So all of the Shellys, for example the Shelly smart plugs, can be integrated into the Sigenergy app, and that means you can not only see how much solar you're producing, what your battery's doing and how much your house is using, but you can see every individual appliance that you plug in using a Shelly device, and you can control those devices, meaning that you can set things up to switch certain devices on and off when, for example, you've got excess solar or when energy rates go high or low. It gives you a much more granular control over all the devices within your smart home. So this is the main grid breaker here. That's the smart port which you can use to connect a generator to, or a third-party solar inverter, or some kind of other smart device. And that basically allows you to switch on and off based on various states of the system. Up here you've got a surge protection device which is protected by its own 63 amp circuit breaker there, and then this is the backup port. So this is what feeds your main property. In this case we feed this switch fuse and then over to our main distribution board, and the entire power for the whole property runs through this. Then we've got our two inverters. So we've got a 63 amp breaker for our 12 kilowatt inverter, and we've got a 40 amp breaker for our 8 kilowatt inverter. That one we've added in, and they give you a little kit to be able to add that into the bus bar. So we just use this chint breaker which matches with the 10 gen breakers that they've got in there. And now basically my job is to power the gateway up, and then that will allow me to power the inverters up, get the system all commissioned and connected to the internet, and one of our two inverters is ready to commission with the solar as well. So we're going to get that going. So we're going to power our main breaker on. The smart port is not in use, so we're going to leave that off. We're going to turn our surge protection breaker on as well. So we've got surge protection for the entire place. The backup power breaker we're going to probably leave off at the moment. And there we go, our main contactor has kicked in, so that shows that we're on grid. These are the two contactors that do the grid and backup, and then this is just like a bypass switch. So if you ever want to just bypass the inverters, you can just switch that on. Then I'm going to turn on our two AC circuits for our two inverters, and that means that I can power these things on.
From a software perspective, the app has had some huge improvements. The Sigenergy app has got a really nice visualization of the property, but now you've got AI mode to really take things to the next level in terms of how you use the system.
Basically, you can allow Sigenergy's very clever AI to manage when you charge and discharge the batteries and what you do with your system. The AI can take into consideration so many different data points to make sure that you get the result that you want from your system, whether it's saving as much money as possible, making as much money as possible out of the system, or using as much of your own solar energy as possible. The AI can figure it all out for you. All you have to do is turn it on in the app and just let it work its magic.
The AI mode can integrate with any of the most common smart tariffs, and it knows ahead of time what the rates are going to be and will change its behaviour depending on that to either make as much money as possible out of the batteries by selling power to the grid when it's most expensive and charging up when the energy is cheaper, or by trying to maximise savings on your energy bills, or if you choose to maximise the amount of solar that you consume yourself at the property.
So one of the things I love about Sigenergy is they're constantly trying to improve little things with their products. For example, this I think is fairly new. It's the first time I've seen it anyway. They've got these little bungs that go in over the DC connections in the inverter, and it just means that it stops any moisture getting in or anything like that. Maybe they're in storage for a while. You don't want to get any dust or moisture in those connections. And that is a little attention to detail thing that's going to avoid any potential issues in the future. The other thing that I've noticed, which I really like, is that they're really going more and more into the cardboard packaging now. In the past, they had quite a lot of sort of plastic stuff in the packaging. They've removed almost all of the plastic now in the packaging so that you've just got cardboard, which is way better for the environment, way easier to recycle. So massive thanks to Sigenergy for sponsoring today's video. There'll be links below where you can find out about the Installer of the Year competition and also this bi-directional DC EV charger. And if you're a customer and you'd like a quote for an amazing system like this from us, we'll leave our link below to our virtual site survey form where you can apply to get a quote. But either way, thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next one.